Everyone, welcome to Gray Man Prepping. Tonight, our topic is emergency water filters. We're going to talk about portability versus function versus cost, and we're going to get into that in just a minute here. But let's say hi to everybody there. Hi guys, hey, how you doing? Al has his sock puppets. I'm the real thing. Alrighty, guys.
We have a weird sense of humor here, folks. Hi, Caitlin.
I came across this guy from Halloween. I've had this guy for probably 35 years. Scared more people because I'd dress up in a big cloak I had for Dr. Jekyll and stuff, and I'd have him underneath there on my hand, and I'd reach up and talk to somebody, put him up over their shoulder on the side, and all of a sudden they turn around, look, and they see that right in their face. Yeah. All right, let's see who else here.
Texas Rob.
Hey, Texas Rob, Ryan the Gamer, Kaylin Strain, Frontier Survival. Hey, good to have you here. And that's all that are talking. We got a few lurkers in here. CB just slid in. Hey, yeah. Dave isn't going to be up here tonight. Dave from Southern Ohio Prepping. He was, I guess, it got rather toasty for him, and he was the heat just zapped him out there in Ohio. So he's not. Let me put that out of the way. He's not going to be joining us. He did not do his live earlier. So
it's like right now over there is like almost 100 with plus humidity.
Yeah, and I forgot to do something here because I got two channels. I keep on forgetting now and then to change the name. There we go. I got the right name for the right channel. All righty. So, yes, I do have to. And for some people that are wondering, they're saying, well, how come you're coming up with Gray Man? Well, actually, I had Gray Man Prepping first. I had it back in 2011, but froze. Yeah, it's my internet system here. Freezes for a couple seconds every now and then. But I had Gray Man Prepping originally, and I actually had some really cheesy videos because all I had was this little rinky-dink 1.4 megapixel video camera, and I tried doing stuff on it, and I got frustrated with it and put it aside for so from 2011 to when I started doing the Camp Patton Family Compound. So anyway, so when I finally did Camp Patton Family, I learned a lot. They actually had some other people out there who were willing to teach idiots like me how to do live streams and stuff. And Will at Just in Time Prepping was the main one to help taught me, and Dave taught me a lot on it, and videoing and some others. So anyways, for tonight's show, let's get over here and cover what we're going to be talking about here. Oh, and if you can, let's see, is it the next slide here? Yeah, go ahead and share this out because some of the information, Dave's saying hi in the side chat there. Share some of this out on social media because some of the information we'll be giving out here is not generally talked about to help people figure out around commercially bought and homemade water filters that you can use for bugging out or in place or whatever. So, wait, hang on. Let me go back to that for a second. I want to see if that showed up there.
Which one?
There's an Easter egg in there, and it's not showing up on that one. But it is showing up on the other screen here. So, yes, it does work. There is a hidden Easter egg there if people can see it. All right, so what is not in your future when it comes to water? All right, I know that Tasha at Mama Bear Prepping wanted to be on here, but her husband had something going on tonight, so she got stuck with the little one, and it's kind of hard to be on a live stream holding a little one in your arms, so that's why she's not in there. Hey, Backwoods Law, how's it going? And so, I mean, she's been really harping on the water issue, being in Southern California like she is. She understands it like Uncle Al does.
And I'll be after the slideshow. I'll be screaming the riot act at everybody.
Yes, Uncle Al is being given time to talk sense to those that are listening to the blowing wind. So I can't do a good Gallagher imitation because I don't have the long hair to fluff up like Gallagher used to. But anyways, so what is what is not in your future? Well, if you don't have water filters, the number two of the rules of three won't be there. And the rules of three is, number one is 3 minutes without air. 2 is 3 days without water. And number 3 is 3 weeks without food, and you're dead. In general, there are some people that can go a little bit longer underwater, holding their breath for 5 minutes, but they've trained to do that. All righty. We have in past live streams and on regular videos talked about home filtration systems you can get. You can build some of your own for your home filtration, water system to deal with whatever you have. So one of the things is they realize is that you can't take this with you. If you need to bug out or go somewhere, you can't take that with you. And if the water system fails for whatever municipality you're in and there's no water pressure, you got to go out and get water. And it's going to be rather hard to put that water through this system here unless you've built it with a way to use that system in your home to filter water you're bringing in by buckets.
Right. And this system, I have to, read the Riot Act. It takes 40 pounds of pressure. Look at the gauge. If your water pressure is not at that pressure, it won't work.
Yeah. All right, Frontier Survival. Thank you for coming by. Say hi. Get a good night's sleep. Hopefully you got your AC going or it's cool where you're at so you can actually get some sleep to get up early. You can catch it on the replay too.
Yep.
All right. So the next thing we want to talk about here is I found this when doing digging and stuff. This is a patent from 1901. That's when it was approved. It was submitted back.
Froze.
It was submitted back in 1900. And what's interesting is this same process is still used today by many sewer treatment plants. They changed around the layering a little bit, but they do use this. And some of them break it out a bit where they have the vegetation off to the side and they filter it a little bit before they put it onto the vegetation. But you have your vegetation with your fine dirt and stuff and the roots and stuff to pull a lot of stuff out, all the nitrates and nitrites out of the water because, hey, plants love that. That's fertilizer for them.
Right.
You have your sand, you have your charcoal, and you have your gravel. A lot of them put the coarse stuff up on top. And so they'll have the gravel, then the charcoal, then the sand. And it probably, and multiple layers of those so that it shows up good.
Also, if you look at C, that's aeration, where the sprinkler head moves around.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I scanned it a little bit further. This is for purifying sewage water, not drinking water, folks. Mm-hmm. Don't get too confused.
Right. But what's interesting is back in the day when they had this, it was actually to purify it enough to make drinking water. Of course, back then they didn't have all the crappy chemicals going down to sinks, all your antibacterial soaps, all your chlorine bleach, and all the other crap people were putting down the toilets and stuff.
Also heavy
metal.
Yeah, heavy metals from the cars and stuff from every place else. So that wouldn't work.
So on a small system, this can be used to filter rainwater good, get the poo out of it off the roof and stuff. Get the if you have the shingles, the composite shingles, you can the vegetation, you plant the right vegetation and stuff, it'll remove the oils and stuff that come off with it. and it will give you some really clean water that you can then boil and take another step to make it absolutely safe, like the UV light. Now, the next thing here, we've talked a lot about the countertop filters before, and I know Tasha's talked about them too on her stuff, on her channel, Mama Bear Prepping, about countertop water filters. She has the Berkey, and she talks about that a bunch. What I like about a lot of these here is these canisters, when it tells you, it kind of signals to you when it starts backing up that, hey, time to change the canister. And you screw it off, screw it on, and it has a lot of predetermined amount of filter medium, so you really don't have to do a lot of guesswork by building your own.
Right.
You can see how much activated charcoal it has compared to the KDF and the ceramic balls, and it actually has 2 layers of activated one's charcoal, one's carbon, which is the finer. It's an extra fine layer of the activated charcoal. So,
Gil, if you could put up Kaylin's statement at 714, Des Moines, Iowa's water treatment.
Yeah, got it here.
Okay. Do you know why, folks, they have to do this?
I can tell you why. All right, and I've mentioned before what I've had before. I used to have koi fish. I had a big pond in California. Koi fish, if they have excessive nitrates and nitrites in the water, it will kill them. And at $300 a fish, that's a big mistake. And so you need to be able to remove the nitrates and nitrites, which is usually a vegetation medium, which removes it very, very effectively. Whether it's flown it through a floating thing of watercress or some other water lettuces that will pull through the roots and stuff, and it just pulls all the nitrates out. Nitrates are not good for people or animals. They're good for plants.
Right. And back to the filters.
Yeah. Just a quick back step on this. On my koi pond filters, I had 3 55-gallon barrels filled with what we called spaghetti noodle or top ramen noodles. It's plastic things, different size noodles in it that were
froze again.
That were sandwiched in hard layers the water would go through, and I'd stack those full, cut it to fit the barrels, and the bacteria. You add these granulars and tablets of bacteria on there, the good bacteria like your probiotics that would eat all the bad bacteria in the water. And then I also had a couple big sand filters on there to go through, and then I had a 2-foot wide, 2-foot deep, 16-foot long, and an 18-foot long one filled with lava rock that the water would go through. The lava rock was a ½ inch below the top flow of the water, and the top of it was covered with watercress. The water coming out of the final stage of this, I had all the testing stuff I had for the koi fish. I tested that water, and I tested the city's water. That water was cleaner and healthier than the city's water. Okay. So back to filters that you can make for on the go. All right. So the next one here, there we go. Now, some of these, when you build one, you've got to have a lot of the details and go through a lot of fine stuff. That's up to you. Personally, I'd like to have things laid out enough so I know they're working. I'm not guessing on it. What I liked about this here is, if you notice what it's on the right-hand side, these are the filter mediums, and on the left, what it removes. You start off with a microfilter pad. Then this KDF55, which you can find on Amazon, relatively inexpensive, comparatively. Another microfilter pad, your activated charcoal, another microfilter pad, KDF85, another micro pad, a material called lead resin, basically absorbs lead, then another microfilter pad, then a catalytic carbon,
You'll find that at aquarium stores. It's different from aquarium gravel or activated gravel. It's catalytic carbon.
Yeah.
Because it absorbs that word right there.
Chloramine, which is like and it'll also absorbs chloramine and chlorine and some of the other stuff they're adding to, the new chlorine-based chemicals they're adding to purify your water. And then you got another microfilter, and you have your calcite.
Calcite to neutralize any other heavy metals.
And acid neutralizer and stuff. And then it's got another microfilter pad at the bottom. When you're building your own, these microfilter pads are important to keep the medium from mixing, because if you have a coarse and a fine, it starts mixing together, and all of a sudden it starts becoming compacted like the earth, and water doesn't like to flow through it.
Right. Night, Rob.
Night, Rob. Okay. So talk about building your own. We've talked about this. Dave's talked about it. Mama Bear Preppers talked about it. Uncle Al's talked about it. You get like a 2-liter bottle, and you layer your stuff in there. You start with your big rocks. You go to your pebbles and sand, finer sand, charcoal. But between each one of them, you want to put some sort of filter pad in there. And what works really great is coffee filters. Now, the purpose is not to filter the water so much, other than the first one on top. That keeps large debris out. But the rest of them are to keep them from mixing, which is very important. You don't want to get your medium mixing up here, then it doesn't work the way it's supposed to mix. Now, at the bottom here, it says you can put cotton in the bottom. Generally, people put that in the bottom to keep stuff from falling through. But what I would do, I would just layer 2 or 3 pieces of the coffee filter down there to keep stuff from coming out, because cotton balls and stuff have a tendency to compact once they get wet, and then they slow down the process of the water flowing through it more than the filtration factor you get from them. All right, so here's an example of someone not using it, and they're using they got grass on top to take out big stuff, and they go through the different layers of stuff in here, some charcoal from their campfire, and then they go back to some other sand and stuff, and they start you can build something on the go, but there are certain things you got to watch out for. When they put grass on the bottom, that's a no-no.
Right. I got to answer one question. ZB, you cannot use the charcoal from the grill. No, do not do that, because those charcoal are chemically treated.
Okay, it's not a dumb question. A very intelligent question there, CB. Now, a very intelligent question there, CB. It's not a dumb one. Now, the other thing on that though, the charcoal briquettes. No, you can't use those. Now, if you make your own charcoal, that you can use. If you have fresh, if you have a grill like my father-in-law had, where he actually fed pieces of oak and apple wood and stuff in there to burn that, and let it burn for half an hour before he started grilling on it. Yeah, that's natural homemade charcoal that is not chemically compressed and all the other funky stuff they do to it. Right, Kaylin? Very good point. Hey, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
All right. So what I started to say about this over here, the grass on top is okay. Grass on the bottom is not, because the grass has stuff on it you don't want in your water. It'll help. It is a large medium that you use to catch other particles to keep it from plugging up the coarser sand, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you're going to do a homemade one like that, using one of these water bottles, which is actually a really good design, because it's a narrow one, and you actually get more, and it's taller than a regular 2-liter bottle, and you get more filtration flow through it than you do on a wide 2-liter bottle, because it's kind of spread out.
Right. But if you use grass on the bottom, look at the color of the water.
Yeah, the water coming out is a little green, because it's getting the chlorophyll out of the grass, and some of the the grass sap out of there and stuff. So no, you don't want that out on the bottom. This is another reason why you should always have in your go bags and stuff like that. If you go hiking, toss in your backpack a couple of coffee filters. They weigh nothing and they're very useful.
Right. In the old days, it's something worse. Like, this water tastes like it's brown, Uncle Al, but it tastes like your sock. Yeah, because that's what I use. You don't want to be drinking water through old Uncle Al's sock.
Yeah. Jay, there are a lot of different varieties of moss. Some you can use, some you don't. Unless you know your varieties, it's better off to err on the side of safety and not use it. Those that have grown up knowing the moss in their areas and knowing which ones they can use, that's one thing. But hey, Southern California did not have a lot of moss for me to learn about varieties of moss. I'm sorry.
And also, folks, in different regions, certain mosses put out a neurotoxin. So you don't want to add a neurotoxin into your filter water.
Yeah. Everybody, hydrate. Especially as warm as it is, stay hydrated.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one here I'm going to go to is a drawing of using. I get my tongue untied here. A drawing of how to make one, and you see you got your water going on top. You got your coarse gravel, your fine gravel, your coarse sand, your fine sand, and then one of the things I have a pet peeve with: cheesecloth. Cheesecloth as the final stage of a filter. I've actually had the sand come through some cheesecloth because they're not all that fine material. A t-shirt is finer than cheesecloth. Now I put cheesecloth on the top to catch all the big particles, leaves, small bugs in the water, and stuff like that, or over something else to catch all the big stuff before you start pouring it in here.
Right. What they get confused is it's not cheesecloth. In the old days, they used muslin.
Yeah, and muslin is another tight material. Muslin is actually a tighter material than t-shirt material.
Right.
So that's really good. Let's see here. Now, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to come back to this picture in reference. So where the cheesecloth is on it, I have something coming up here in a couple of pictures here that can go on there. But what I would do first, I would drop in there. I would drop a coffee filter or similar. If you don't have any coffee filters, but you got a bunch of t-shirt material, use t-shirt material. It's just fine sand. So thank you. Down there, the t-shirt material will be to keep the sand from falling out, and you want to put something between each layer to keep it from mixing. So the next one here is, there we go. This is what I was talking about. That was I thought it was farther along. These are cheap, inexpensive. Screw onto your kitchen sink, bathroom sinks, whatever. It has charcoal at the bottom, and it has your ceramic tiles and your other tiles, ceramic beads and your other beads in there to filter out a small portion of, the chlorine in your water system. If you have rusty water and stuff, it'll help with that. It'll help with that. Hey, Albany Mountain Homestead. Oh, flour sack material is good. Oh, I got to throw that up here. Let me throw that up. There we go. Very good. Howie's in the house. All right, so you get these. I think a 3-pack was like $10 at Walmart. So it may have been cheaper. It may have been $7.99. I don't know. But these I've seen around a lot, and they just screw on, and they make a thread adapters for your kitchen sink, where you can. They actually make adapters that fit your 2-liter bottles and back and forth and stuff. There are adapters out there. You got to look for them. Probably your best place to find it is on Amazon. But unless you have a really good hardware store that stocks oddball stuff, that's probably going to be your best bet, or there, or eBay.
Right.
Now, these added on to that, or that instead of the grass on the bottom, would make it work so much better. And these little things don't weigh all that much. Alrighty, let's move on. This one I thought was kind of neat. I've seen variants of this using different size cans and stuff. They take 3 tuna cans. Before they put it together, they take and dimple the bottom out so it kind of hangs down like a concave or convex, and then they put a hole in it, and they do that for all 3, and that way the water goes through and comes out the hole. Some can put multiple holes in them, some put one hole, and you just get a plastic like a mayonnaise jar, or what's this one here, applesauce jar, and you cut the bottom off, turn it upside down, and then put the cans in it, and you can build a filter fairly easy. MT Homestead. Hey.
Right.
So this type of filter is easy to make, and you don't have to load it up with the sand and stuff. If you have a little baggie with some activated charcoal, perfect. And otherwise you can keep it empty until you get out there in the field where, okay, I'll get some sand in here, get some gravel, pull my bag out, my charcoal filter, put that in there, stack it up, and you're good to go. The one thing and you can add coffee filters in there too, but the holes in the bottom of the cans kind of separate the medium. Now, the one thing I don't like about some of these, I actually saw someone using a number 10 can, cutting them down and stacking them up. The problem is if you have a hole just dripping in the middle of a big can, so the water hits here, that means there's like a cone going down that the material the water never uses to filter. And if it's just a slow drip, it's just going to go straight down the center. So you can have about this much of an area of your medium that is filtering out of that big can. So the rest of it's a waste, basically. So one of the things that I used to do, I'm going to do a video on it because I can't find anything on it anymore. It's called the walking stick filter. And you take either 3/4 or 1 inch piece of PVC pipe, depending whether you want to use it as a cane or as a staff, walking staff. And you get your fittings and stuff, and you put a fitting that has the slip fitting on the one side with the male thread outside and a screw cap that goes on the end. And you can put your reducers and stuff and everything in there for sizes. And you put in a couple circles of coffee filter material in there, your activated charcoal, couple layers of froze. You start layering your material up in there in the walking stick, and you screw on a cap on the top, or you screw on a T-handle if it's doing a short one like a cane. And you basically have a water filter with you every time you go out hiking. And because it's a narrow one that's long, it filters the water a lot better.
Yep.
Now the next thing here, you can buy these bags of the not just the activated charcoal, but the more finer stuff.
Right.
This on Amazon. This one here is a Moonshiner's Choice, made for a still for filtering.
Those are the catalytic carbon.
Yeah,
because you're trying to pick up. Because I used to moonshine the resin off the alcohol, so you have kidney damage.
Yeah. All right. So the next one here. This is one I saw out there on it. I looked at it, and I actually went and watched the video for this one called the Ultimate DIY Water Filter. And as I was watching it, how he put it together, the theory behind it is a good theory. His implementation of it, he made some mistakes. So if you see this out here, I'm going to tell you what the mistakes are so you can correct it and do it right if you want to do it yourself. What he did is, on the up on the far left here, upper one here, he took like a big jug thing, and did his layering in there. No coffee filters, guys. I went, I don't drink coffee, but coffee filters are great. Need to separate your medium. Now, on the very bottom, he had like a milk jug cap on the end of it there with a single pinhole in it, so it just drip out. When he did his tube going in there, he ran the tube straight up and worked on centering it just under this. The water would drop right into the tube. To me, having done plumbing, it's just like, hey, guy, get yourself a copper flange tool, put it in there, and flare it out so it has a better chance on catching more water. Because if you bump it over and you don't realize it, that water's going to be dripping in the bottom of the can and just coming out the side of the can. The second thing that was wrong with it, and this is probably the most important thing, he has the tube spiraling from the top down. The problem with this is very important to realize, that thermodynamics and water dynamics. When the water comes down the tube here and starts going along it and starts superheating, it turns into steam. What does steam do? Does it rise or sink? It rises. So it's going to try to go back up the line here and out the top. And what's going to happen, you get steam coming back out on that plastic cap. Steam and plastic do not mix. It's going to deform the plastic cap. It's going to deform the soft plastic jug or whatever you had here, and you're going to have all sorts of problems. What you want to do is you want to have it come down and come in the bottom and circle around up and then come out the top and then down into the jar. That way it acts sort of like a P-trap of its own and keeps the steam from going back up, backwards, like the way you don't want it to go. And you could even just come across here, put a little dip coming across where it dips, a little P-trap down here, so any water in here fills up here and blocks the steam from coming back. Either way is great. And then once you have that then it heats up, and then by the time the steam comes out, the steam is superheated, comes over, and then it can condense. And actually, I would put another condensing coil over here to help it cool down. The other thing that I don't like about this for out in the wilderness, which is what he was talking about, being able to take it away along with you camping. If you're in a bad situation and you don't want to give your position away, and you're have this thing here putting out some smoke, it's going to identify where you're at. And the fact that he had to build this cinder block and mortar on these other two blocks on it to get the levels to make it work is another point where you can take and make this better by engineering something that'll work better for you. But all in all, the theory behind it is good. The implementation needs a little bit more work.
Right, because if in the middle it's backwards. 2, like Gil says, it doesn't have a thumper. That's the little thing between the two for back pressure. And 3, look at all that steam coming out of the bottom.
Yeah, you're losing water.
Right, and also what happens if he didn't poke holes on top of that lid?
Pressurize that jar. You could overpressurize that jar if you don't have vent holes on it. And that's why you want to have a coil out here like a still does to cool it down, so that when coming out of the pipe there is water, not steam, and you're not like moonshiners don't want to lose their alcohol. They want the liquid coming out, not the vapor.
Right. Also, you don't want an explosion either.
Yeah. All right. So now, can you use prefab parts to build a homemade water filter? Yes. Check my video out, number 120, where I did this, and I showed you guys how to build a inexpensive, easy to do 5-gallon water filter. But I like this one here. This type of filter is a little bit more expensive than the second one I'm going to show here, because this filter itself is a 3-stage filter. You have your ceramic microporous wall here, which stops a lot of the impurities and stuff going through it. And most of them are a 1 micron porous, thing. It'll stop anything 1 micron or larger. Now they line this with I always mispronounce this, colloidal silver layer inside in case any small bacteria like a certain virus, which is 0.8 micron, gets through. It'll stop and kill it. And then it has it's filled with activated charcoal to help reduce, and here it says chlorine because this was designed for a countertop, but it'll also reduce certain other toxins, if you will, things in wild water. You know, you're always going to have sap and other things out there in the water. I'm going to talk about the things that animals do in the woods, in the water, but
right. Night empty.
Night empty. All right. This is the type filter I used to do mine with. Now these come in two types: just a plain ceramic dome, or a ceramic dome filled with activated charcoal. And of course, the ones filled with activated charcoal are more. But if the domes I got are for the Zen water filter, and the latest report on their manufacturing process is they were testing and they had a 0.05 to a 0.5 to 0.7 micron size stopping power. So instead of being 1 micron, it's down to 0.7 to 0.5 that they're able to, that it's stopping stuff. So that's even better. But yeah, these things are great. You can do it real easy. And this is the breakdown of the Zen water filter. So guys, if you're going to copy somebody's water filter, a commercial one, which has health department approval and stuff, I'm not sponsored by Zen. I just happen to like how well made their stuff is. I've looked at a lot of them, and I prefer this type over a lot of the others because this is a 7-stage filtration system. All right, and if you add with the one is the micro filter, and this one they've actually saying they've got it down to 0.2. All right, so they're really improving it. So this is the latest sheet out. So so my 0.5 to 0.7 has been upgraded to a 0.2. So it's even better now. Now you can, instead of using this type dome, you can use that first one we showed that has the 3 layers in itself. And then that'll add 2 more layers of filtration there. And so it goes from this and it goes through your granulated activated charcoal, your ionic resin, which is also your KDF 55 is what that looks like. And then you got your all your different other stages going through, your silica sands and all the other stuff, and your mineral stone at the bottom and stuff. So if you want to imitate somebody, imitate this one. Now this is kind of what I did with mine. This is how I set mine up. I had 2 buckets. In my video, I said 2 buckets. I just had the ceramic cup in the bottom.
I'll be right back. I gotta get some water.
Yeah. The ceramic cone in the bottom, which worked good. Now, when I got my ceramic, they came with a filter cloth. Froze. They came with a filter cloth that went over them and helped, if you're just pouring water straight in there, it would keep the big particles from clogging up the ceramic. But if you're going to do something like this, you want to get some muslin or a couple T-shirts that you can stretch across the top to remove large particles right off the bat. And what's great about this is you pop that bottom lid off and you set the one bucket inside the other bucket, put the lid on top, tape it down, and you can put some other stuff in there, other things inside the bucket, the upper one with it, and that way you're not just carrying 2 big empty buckets. You're consolidating and using them to carry stuff for you as well. All right. Darn, net kicked me off. What'd you miss? You missed a few cool things there, Jay. Depends how long you were out. The next thing here, how big do you really want to take with you? Is the 5-gallon bucket or a 3-gallon bucket too big? Well, then you go to some smaller ones. Now, both Al and I love the Katadyn pump systems, because it's not just a gravity filter through it. It has a pressure pump, and you're able to force the water through there quicker, so you can get your bottle filled up and you can get on your way and get out of there if it's a bad situation. You want to spend an hour or two there waiting for the water to filter. So, when there's hostiles in the area, you want to be able to pump and go. How much water does one filter? It depends on your filter. Now, the ceramic ones, the dome one, we have the Zen knockoff, which uses the Zen filters for it. It's just a plastic thing. It's made by a different company, in the house across the street with my daughter. And it gets filled up twice a day because they drink a lot of water. And it goes about 4 months before I have to change the filters on it. So that's a lot. You figure, 4 gallons filled twice a day. That's about 8 gallons a day, several months. You're looking at a decent amount of water. Now, also what I found out is if I go once a week and I take that ceramic dome and I take a green scrubby and I just clean the outside of it, it lasts 3 times as long. You get all the hard water, because we got really hard water, and we get mineral buildup on the outside of that filter. So we just clean it off, and it lasts 3 times as long. And Dave has a good point there. He's answering questions there. Some do this, yeah, exactly. And it depends how you do it, how you treat your water. If you're out in the wild, if you try to filter some of your water with cloth filters first, it's going to help the filter as well, prolong its life. So let's go to the next one. So, yeah, Al and I love the Katadyn. I'm probably a few of you out there that have used it before. Understand it. It is not a cheap one. But when it comes to water, you don't want to be too cheap. If you're going to buy a system, you want to get a system that you're going to get a good use out of, that can do stuff for you. Now, there are a bunch of systems out there, and there are different ones for different things. Some of these go onto water bottles. These, your commercial water bottles you get, and you just screw them on there. Some of them, like down here in the bottom center, are pumps. This little green one on the bottom is not a filter.
No.
But it's something I got a couple over here on the shelf right here. Here, let me show you, prove it to you.
Well, Gil's getting the pens. Those work on UV light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sterapen. These things are great. They kill bacteria and everything else. And so it's one of the things you do at the last if you're really worried. After you filtered it, you stick the Sterapen in there, turn it on for 30 seconds, and it's it.
But like Gil said, filter it first. It does not work if your water is cloudy.
No, you got to filter it first to use these. And so there's a lot of there's even chemical ones here, chemical sanitizers for the froze. Yeah. So there's and Kaylin says, let me tell you, Kaylin, where to go? Make sure that they use a specific wavelength, and it should be in the 274 nanometer range. The same thing they were using to kill viruses.
Right.
So,
and folks, also it depends how big is the container you're using. That pen right there for this kind of glass, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is not for like this. This is a 20-ounce glass. See the volume of water difference?
Yeah. Yeah. Get this out here. Because that's UV light. Now, you need to put it in so that these prongs are in the water, and you can go up to this much into the water. So I can stick it down into the water, that much into the water. If the water's deeper and stuff, you got to run it longer.
Right.
But you also want to kind of stir it around, get the water flowing around, so it gets everything gets hit by the it.
All right. Because sometimes if your container's too big, it might not reach the bottom.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to make sure you're doing if you're going to use one of these, you want to make sure you're using it to its best of its potential.
Right.
All right. Albany Mountain says his research is the Sawyer mini filter. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about that too here coming up here, and maybe on the next slide. Let's see where we're at here. Yep. Great minds work are alike. Okay. Now, let me go back first. There is one on here in the top here, the Life Straw. And when it first came out, I was thinking, okay, sounds good, sounds like a possibility. And after about 6 months of it being out and doing research on it, it gets 2 thumbs down from me. And
also, a whale of just-in-time preparedness and myself, we dissected one of those stupid things.
Yeah.
And we found out why it wasn't working. It had a plastic plug in there. So you could suck on it all day and water won't go through because it sealed off the tube.
Yeah, but that wasn't actually the Life Straw, was it? Was that the knockoff?
It was a knockoff.
Yeah. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about Life Straw here late in a little bit about why my personal what my brain does when it read about this stuff. So we're going to let's go on and talk about the Sawyer here. Now, I looked at the Sawyer and I did a lot of research on it. And then I did a bunch more research. I really did. I spent hours this morning reading everything I could on it from official sources. And it's actually, it gets a thumbs up. All right.
Right. I got to stop 1 second. Jay, do not screw around with pressure cookers. Yes, steam comes out of the pressure cooker for one reason. Do not mess with them.
Yeah. Yeah, the pressure cookers are not a distiller. You want a distiller. There are several ones that have gotten those distillers and are done videos on them. It's a totally different process and a totally different pressure. It's the pressure cookers are dangerous pressures. All right, so on the Sawyer, what I liked about it was, in all the research, is it comes with a special cleaning plunger, which actually cleans it. And they also get a little bag, so you can fill up the bag with the water, attach it to the bottom of it, and suck the water out until the bag is collapsed, and then you can refill the bag or whatever. That way you're not staying at the water source trying to suck water out of the water source when there could be bad guys in the area. So there's 2 different types. They got that one and they got the small one. I like it. It's got the flow, so which way is it supposed to flow? And so, and again, it has the backflow plunger over here to work on it. And looking at these, they got adaptability to them as well. To use, on the one it showed it, let me go back here, showed the Sawyer hooked up to one of these smart water bottles, where they filled the smart water bottle up, put the Sawyer on it, and then they're able to go hiking away from the water source to safety and have water to suck on. One of the things I don't like about a certain product is because every one of their ads shows the person sucking it out of the stream. No, I'm not going to bend down and do that, because now you got a big blind spot. You can't, it's kind of hard to turn your head and look behind you when you're sucking out of the stream.
Right. And if you're in the South, like Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, what's in the water? Yeah. So you're at face level with the water with a Life Straw, and you're making sucking noises. What does the gator think? Deer.
Food! Dinner bell! Yeah, me too, CB. At my age, me too. Yeah, Dave says he's in the water. All right. So let me go skip over here. The next one is okay. So we're almost done with it. Talking about the slideshow here. But I got one thing here coming up, not about water. Just a reminder to everybody about what's coming up this Friday on the Camp Patton Family Compound. We're having the giveaway with the recipe books and the garnishing tools, and that stuff's going to be this Friday during the live stream on Camp Patton Family Compound, 10 o'clock Eastern. Okay, with that, I'm going to pop back in here, go back here, and run this back up really quick because Jay had a question there, and I want to answer it by going to the one page here. Okay. All right, so we're going to bring this back here again. All right, Jay, you were asking about heavy metals. There are certain ones that do it. The KDF 85 removes iron and certain hydrogen sulfide. Which is the one? The lead. You have the lead resin one. You go back one more on this one here. This one talks about they have certain mineral balls, certain ones. Okay, did I forget to put that one in here? There was one that talked about shoot. Now the activated charcoal will remove certain things. I'm trying to think which one it is here. Dang it! Did I miss one on it? There was one. I think I left that one picture out. There was a picture that talks about which one of these actually takes out some more stuff. Some specifically takes out the heavy metals. Oh, there it is, heavy metal right there at the top.
Right.
So the KDF 55 takes out heavy metals, scale, and algae, stuff like that. So, and that's available on Amazon and eBay and other things as well.
All right.
All righty.
Do you want to, before I read the Riot Act, do you want to go on the Life Straw?
Okay, Life Straw. Let me pull up the other thing on this other side here. Escape, drop that down, lower that down, and I'm bringing up over here, and I'm actually bringing up Life Straw's manual. All right, guys, getting the hammer ready. This is Life Straw's manual. Okay, prime the filter by opening the bottom cap and letting the straw sit in water for about 20 seconds. That allows it to go up and start getting through the membrane and stuff like that, because the way the membranes are, it's like little spaghetti loops that are up in there, hollow tubes, and it goes up and it filters through the membrane. Important part to remember, that's how it filters. It has these little spaghetti noodles up in there that are hollow, and it goes through it. All right, open the top cap, take 5 quick, strong sips to get the water flowing, then you're supposed to be able to sip more gently. Backwashing, cleaning it out. So to clean it out, blow air through it. What? All right, if you have all these straws, noodles up in there, and you're blowing air down through it, air will take the easiest froze again. The air will take the easiest path of resistance. So if one of those noodles cleans out quicker, that's where the air is going to go. The others are going to still be plugged up. There's nothing going through all of them equally. Air will not cut it.
Right. Jay, throw out the Survivor straw. It's garbage.
Okay.
That was the last question.
Yeah, I see that there. Yeah. All right. So, for long-term storage instructions, visit lifestraw.com. How it works. What? You guys can't put that information in the user's manual? What is it? Some secret you don't want people to get? All right. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Tips: test your gear before you go. Good point. Slow flow rate blow air through the mouthpiece to remove potential air bubbles in the membrane. Wait a minute. You're going to remove potential air bubbles by blowing air into it? No. You're just going to put more air bubbles into it. When the LifeStraw no longer filter water, the product has reached the end of its working life. The inability to sip water through the LifeStraw indicates the product should be replaced. Disclaimer. I'm sorry. I speak legalese. Then the Vestergaard Franzen Inc. and its affiliated entities and related companies shall neither be liable for any damage arising out of or as a result of using the LifeStraw for any purpose other for which it was clearly intended. Okay, point. LifeStraw, what they say it's for clearly intended. Nor any malfunction resulting from the failure of the LifeStraw by the use of the LifeStraw to strictly abide by the usage and safety information contained in this manual. Static, biological, and longevity performance of LifeStraw is conducted under standard laboratory testing conditions. For more information, kind of blah, blah. Yeah, laboratory testing conditions using clean water.
Right.
The effectiveness of LifeStraw may be limited by environmental or hygiene conditions that could contribute to the recontamination of water as it's passed through the straw and or through the product's internal filter. Through the product's internal filter. So the maybe an environmental condition that will contaminate the internal filter. And then it goes on. And it says these conditions are limited to. Got to go back here to the top of the.
Right, it's right there.
1, handling the mouthpiece with dirty hands. Failure to maintain a clean mouthpiece and the exterior of the unit. Wait a minute, I need to keep the exterior clean, but I got to put it in dirty water to suck water through it to filter water. Failure to discontinue use of the product per manufacturer's recommendations. Using the filter if the plastic is cracked. Use in or extreme high temperature, more than 140 degrees, or freezing temperatures below 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that'd be great during the Texas Snowopolis. Let's drink that water out of the... Wait, this doesn't work at this temperature.
Or once it's been down to that temperature, the membrane is no longer functional. This says exposure to. So once it's been exposed to 32 degrees, that's a thing for failure. Read these usage and safety instructions carefully before using LifeStraw. LifeStraw is a personal water filtration tool and should only be used for filtering water. The quality of filtered water is not guaranteed if the product is submitted to conditions other than those encountered during its normal use. What is normal use?
Go down next paragraph.
I know. I'm thinking, what is normal use? Is that in normal use using it on dirty water or just possibly slightly dirty water? Your use implies your acceptance and agreement to terms and the disclaimer. Caution. Drinking untreated water may expose you to harmful microorganisms, illness. Improper use of LifeStraw increases your exposure. Improper use increases your exposure rather than just drinking the water straight. Okay. Never use LifeStraw to filter seawater or chemically contaminated water, including water from mining trail ponds or from near large agricultural operation. Rinse the bottle and the cap safety before use. Do not drop, blah, blah, blah. And Yeah, okay. And then they're giving back thing.
Right.
So I mean, I see all their little loopholes they're sticking in there. And to me, my brain was reading into it, reading the legalese and stuff. It's like, oh, so they tested it in a laboratory, probably with not really dirty water, with a whole bunch of crap in it. So they were able to get 1,000 gallons of water through it before it plugged up and reached its end of life use. Let me go ahead and close that out.
Okay. Well, Gil's closing that out. I will read the Riot Act.
Yeah.
Get the hammer out.
Guys, the Riot Act is done because Al loves you and wants you to learn and not be an idiot.
Right. Okay, the Riot Act, folks. 1, do not drink any surface water that you have not investigated or checked out. 2, no pool water. I keep telling this to people. No filter in the world will clean out arsenic. Some, but the arsenic they use in pool water is so high a concentration, by the time it gets through, you need 16 other filters to filter out the chemicals. Go ahead, Gil.
Well, there is no filter affordable to us normal people.
Right.
You need an industrial filter that's the size of a camper.
Right, about 1/4 ton. And that's reverse osmosis. So you cannot drink out of pools. All right, with any kind of hand filter or homemade device. Get it through your little head. And we're not talking about that kind of chemicals, because I'm reading the Riot Act. Pool chemicals range from arsenic, bromide. It could be cyanide. There's a great methyl bromide, something, something, something. It's a long word. That's a cancer-causing agent. It makes your pool look blue. So I tell a lot of people, do not drink pool water. It's treated as industrial waste. Okay, You can wash with it. You can bathe with it. You cannot water your plants with it unless you want to kill your plants. And you cannot dump anywhere, because you'll have what?
If you just dump, you'll have, contamination.
Right. And if you dump it in your garden, what happened to your garden? That you have to eat the vegetables?
It gets all those chemicals in it, which get into your food.
Right. And then you die from it 6 months later from cancer. Okay. Another thing, all urban water sources. Well, I could go over to that pond like in LA, that beautiful reflecting pond, and get water there. Okay, think and look around the reflecting pond. You see all those tents and homeless people? What do you think they've been doing into the pond?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't think any livestock can suck out all the goo out of that. All right. Last time I heard, there was like an inch of black scum on the bottom of the reflecting pool. And the LA County had fed up, cleared out all the homeless people out of that area, drained the reflective pond, and hosed out. That stuff was so sticky and thick. They had to hose it out with a 4-inch suction.
Yeah. All right. Let me answer that we talked about. Actually, Albany, on the LifeStraw website, it says 1,000 gallons. The Sawyer filter, 100,000 gallons of water. You better be treating that really good and doing all the backwashing properly to get that. Because the 100,000 gallon filter I put on my house was about 12 inches around and 30 inches tall. All right.
Right.
But Sawyer is still 100,000 times better.
Froze.
Yeah, better than LifeStraw. Now, Jay also has a point here. I want to get on there. If you have a way to boil or chemically treat water, your home water filter is not necessarily need to filter out the pathogens. Correct. You can get all the other things out of there, but that and leave it for the boiling to kill the pathogens.
Right. And I have to put this. We have a problem with this. I live in the agricultural area, and so does Yankee Outdoors Adventure. The Maumee River is so contaminated, and also Kalen brought this up with nitrates and other things, that once he did all the filtration and the homemade stuff, the water still came out like tea color. You could still drink it, but you don't know what's dissolved in the agricultural. And like a farmer, you got pesticide, fertilizer, soil additive, soil improvement, whatchamacallit, soil additives that you add to the soil to make your crop grow better. Guess what's in the runoff? Anybody seen the Salton Sea?
Yeah.
Do you want to drink water from that?
I'm just looking here. Sorry, I'm checking something here real quick here. Where's products? Life Straw. And it says...
So anything in an urban area is suspect.
Albany, I'm on the webpage. Let me show you here. It's kind of hard to see, but right here it says 1,000 gallons, 4,000 liters of water. So they're saying 1,000 gallons. And let me show you what that membrane looks like here. Let me drop that down and bring this back up. This is the artist conception, Life Straw's artist conception. So they got the little tubes come up around. So that's their membrane system. So basically, the tubes are locked in the bottom here, so it draws up into the tubes. But so if you're trying to blow air back through that to try to get that to flow back out, it's going to be
no. Okay.
But,
again,
thanks for checking on me for keep making me check on that, Albany, because I thought they may have misread that. But yeah, they've of course then they also changed their these companies changed their data.
liability.
The data as their lawyers say, change they're liable.
Right, and most of the companies with certain suspect filters, we can only purify this kind of water.
Yeah.
And most of the water you find outdoors, which I warn people, Uncle Alan's been drinking brown and green water most of his life. And I know which is safe, which got one kind of amoeba that eats your brain like hell, and no amount of boiling will kill it.
Correct, Albany. It's still not worth it.
Right.
Because it's going to plug up a long time before you get that 1,000 gallons, unless you get a plunger and be able to push fresh water back through it to clean it.
Right. Again, with the Riot app, folks, be sure to investigate your water source. Like last weekend, my nephew says, we're going to go swimming. I said, no, wait by the stream until I go up and down the stream for about a mile and check it. And they say, it's hot, Uncle Al. Can't we just jump in? Guess what I found up the stream? And by the time I came back, those idiots, well, it was hot, so we just jumped in and bathed in the cool water, Uncle Al. I found 2 deer carcasses in the water.
Yeah.
That's why I always carry hydrogen peroxide and dial soap. I washed those idiots down. They went to Harvard and Stanford. That's why Uncle Alan has 5 gallons of clean water in his car.
Yeah. The now, one thing to remember about your filters, these, we're talking about emergency water here. These are stuff that we're not talking about. This is to get you from point A to point B. Most of this stuff is emergency filtration. It's not your bug out location. If you have a bug out location, it's not your home at your home. You really need to have something a little more heavy duty at your home for doing it, even if you build it yourself. The thing to remember is, here come the numbers. And I froze. They don't want me to think about the numbers. Okay. A gallon per person per day, minimum life-sustaining water. So basically, I was looking at something else at the Lifestyle. Lifestyle said something that's good for 5 years. let's see, if you're doing 365 gallons, that's a gallon a day, in 3 years, you're going to exceed that
Life expectancy of the
life
straw.
expectancy of the straw if they're in perfect conditions
Right.
by
And also,
3 months.
if you look at the last comment that Kaylin made, this doesn't cover toxins, which was another big thing I tell people, like algae blooms.
Yeah. And that's why that's why where's there it is. Get back up to here. Come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, the KDF 55, bacteria, heavy metals, microorganisms, scale, bacteria, algae. That's the first.
Okay.
Out first.
Okay, one problem. That's algae, the living organism, not the toxin. Toxin is totally different. It's
Yeah, I
like
know.
people, I can filter seawater.
Yeah, well, yeah. But then you get down here, that's when you get to the next one, which is for chlorine, benzene, organic chemicals, radon, odor taste, VOCs, arsenic, pesticides. All right, that's why you want to have a lot of charcoal. And then you have your KDF 85 for iron, hydrogen sulfide.
Right.
And there's probably a couple other things that pulls out. There was more listed on. I looked it up specifically on the line for it itself. So yeah, Sawyer is great for a lot of stuff, but I would only be using it to get from point A to point B. At point B, I want to have one of these filters ready for me.
Right. Now, this filter would be fine for Courtney's house, but I do warn people, you got to know what your water source is. I have to stress this 100 times. I had 2 buck sergeants. It's like always buck sergeant. I'm a technical sergeant. I told everybody, do not drink any water until I investigate. What these boneheads did? Oh, we filled our canteens and threw halogen tablets, and I got this filter thing. One was in the hospital for 2 weeks. The other guy went to a military hospital, won't say, and he was on, guess what?
Life support.
Life support, and guess what? If I'm clown, dialysis for 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, that was in Article 15. When I said do not drink the water, you don't drink the water.
CB, garden hose is not the other water. We're not. It's coming from. It's tap water just going through a hose.
Right, that's safe.
Yeah.
Back then, but nowadays, who knows? It could be Flint, Michigan. But all water should be suspect. Now, I tell people this.
If you're worried about the water in your house, trying to put one of these filters to filter and expenditure to filter for your house. I'll give you an example. Basically, what I'm doing across the street, not for filters, but for water softening. We got a water softener because the water around here is so friggin' hard. Am I softening the water for all the house? Heck no.
Yeah.
It goes to the water softener sitting here, water heaters right next to it. That's the only thing it softens. It does not soften toilet water. It does not soften the cold water going to the garden hoses. It doesn't soften the cold water going to the kitchen sink. Any of the sinks, the cold water is not softened, only the hot water. Now, if you're going to install a water filtration system and you have access to all the water lines under the house, toilets don't need to be filtered. The washing machine doesn't need to be filtered. Well, the hot water should be.
Right, because you get lime and scale and all the, when you see a bottom of a water heater with that much,
Yeah. So you do want the water to filter the water on the bathroom sinks because you brush your teeth, on the kitchen sink because you drink.
Froze again.
All those you prepare your food and stuff there. So any water that's going to go inside, even if it's just to rinse your mouth out, you want to make sure is filtered just in case.
Right.
And so you would filter those waters. You'd obviously filter the water going to the water softener to the hot water heater as well. So, Dave put up a good point there. Yes. Now, what's interesting is when I was raising the koi fish, there was a pet shop nearby that specialized in koi. Actually, there were two that specialized in koi fish. And I checked them both out, and when they both carried the same expensive filter testing systems, that's the one I got. So there is a lot. Oh, dang, we're over. Wow, we're going good, guys. I didn't realize.
Yeah, because like I said, pool water not for internal use. Throw in the koi in there. See how $300 flushes down the drain. You see it float up in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, Kaylin, what you need, let's see if I can find it here, just real quick here, is an under the sink type system for your kitchen sink that has one of those interchangeable filters on it and will give you a lot better stuff. And you want at least, where is it here? And here it is. I would at least put one of these on your bathroom sink as well.
Right.
Now, interesting enough, I found something before we got the water softener across the street. I found it on Amazon. They have these little, so it's got 1/2-inch pipe thread on one end and on both ends there. So it would go between the shower head and the arm coming out of the wall. And it's about that big around and it's about that long. And it's a filter to go on your shower head to remove some of the hardness and the minerals and stuff in there. And the chlorine has activated charcoal to remove the chlorine and stuff because people don't like getting that in their hair. And anyways, so that is, another type of filters you guys can get if you're seriously worried about, not spending the money for a big filtration system, or you're in an apartment where you don't have that control. You get the under the sink one for the kitchen. It'll only do the cold water, not the hot water. And you can get these other ones there for bathroom sink. Now, I believe that these will handle the hot water coming out of the tap in the kitchen. So you can put these on there for the handle the hot water, but for your cold water is your better thing. Okay, see Howie's back.
Yep.
And
just in time where we're leaving.
And so, so that's what's coming up there. Let me go over here, and I want to get the other check. So Friday on, you read my list here. There we go. So Friday on Camp Patton Family Compound, we're going to have the giveaway. And then, of course, if Dave's feeling better, he will have his weekend news and review on Friday. And we will have as well on part of the Friday topic is going to be talking about the National Cyber Attack Exercise, which is being conducted on Friday. And we're going to talk about that. And then we're just going to go on to a bunch of whatever pops up. And you never can tell, pop up. Are you going to pop up? Hey, hi, guys. You don't want to end up looking like him by drinking the wrong type of water.
Right.
All right.
I got several more videos coming up. Yeah. And I warn people, don't trust the media. If the government says the water is safe to drink and you see brown chunky water coming out of your faucet, what do you think you're going to do? Get the filters out and clean the water again.
All right. So next Tuesday, I'm pulling a page out of Steve's book. It's Corsair Trainers. For those of you that don't know, I think everybody here knows Steve at Corsair Trainers. The topic is, be careful what you wish for. A reality check. All right. But just to let you know, coming up in the next couple of days, I am going to be doing a product review of this emergency bucket with all the food pouches in.
Froze,
all the food pouches and stuff. So you can expect to see that video coming out here in the next couple of days. So now, as you guys learn something and practice stuff, I just noticed CB saying he's learned a bunch. But as you learn through experience, and you learn something that somebody's saying out there isn't quite right, or you've learned something a little bit different take on it, spread the word around. When I started emergency preparedness back in 1971, yes, I'm an old fart because I ain't got any hair left to prove it. Well, some of the stuff that we were being taught and were teaching back then has changed.
Right.
What it changed to, that has changed as we learned more.
Right.
So in the prepper field, you got to realize, as knowledge is accumulated, we realize that other information wasn't exactly accurate, or they've come out with better stuff, which totally eliminates the need for that other knowledge. So, or makes it redundantly, inaccurate or whatever. So if you learn more stuff, share it out. Feel free to email me any information you learn that's contrary to something I say, because I want to put out true knowledge, not misinformation.
Right, or fear porn. Now on Jay, Scotland's peat bog is acidic. That's where that guy that was found preserved, the bog is acidic. So the water comes out brown, but you can still drink it because it's so high in acid that preserves everything in the bog. Dead bodies, old wrecks. They even found that German fighter from World War II crashed in Scotland with the pilot still in the bog, not decayed for 75 years.
Yeah.
Yes, and they do make scotch out of it.
Okay, hang on here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and when I was did the planning for emergencies 3-part series, that's one of the things I said in the first part, in part 1. If you're making a plan, get a co-planner or 2, because 2 or 3 minds are better than 1. Because you may say something, and that's going to trigger a thought in somebody else going, whoa, wait a minute. I just had an idea. What about this? And that sarcastic remark you made actually turns into, whoa, okay, this may turn into a viable, better solution. So,
and it was a deer body, too.
Yeah.
Bambi.
And that's exactly. Different perspectives work great for your planning. And remember, if someone's throwing out ideas, don't discard ideas right away. Use what's called the parking lot. In other words, you pull out it's invisible. You pull out a Post-it, if I can get the show posted here. Anyways, there's a Post-it here, and write on it.
Post-it.
It's a lime yellow, so it disappears with the background.
Right.
And write stuff on, put it on the parking lot, and come back to them. Because after you discuss it or look at it, things in a different way, the next day it's like, okay, that's not such a crazy idea. Let me think about that some more. All righty. So with that, we're going to wrap it up here, folks. Thank you for sticking with us for the extra half hour here. Hopefully we got enough information out there. If you have people that might benefit from this and not realize it, but or even if they would realize it, that they would benefit from it, share it with them, because the more people you get prepared, that's less people coming after your supplies. All right. Okay. See you later.